Welcome back to the KickNPost YouTube channel and podcast with your hosts Jamal Thompson and Matt Avila. Episode 13, lucky number 13.
Why is that lucky?
My favorite number. If I was to have a favorite number.
Alex Rodriguez.
Really? September 13th.
What's
My
September
birthday.
13th? Oh.
Yeah. Tragic. And this is Teal and Steel. We're going on 13 episodes. It's not bad.
Not
Some
bad, man.
consistency. On KickNPost, this is like the most consistent series we've had like ever. So pretty proud of it. And this week, we come to you with a lot of fantasy talk. A lot of fantasy talk. For most leagues, this is the fantasy playoff starting.
Yep.
Whether you guys do 2-week playoffs, 1-week playoff, this is where it kind of gets kicking. If you're like Matt, you have a lot of bye weeks. Your teams are good. If you're like me, you're fighting for your fucking life in all these leagues because your team sucked. But I figure we just come with some fantasy lessons to start the pod off. So Matt, this is your second year
Come.
playing fantasy. Seriously, yes. This man went from an orphan team to what? 4 leagues, 5 leagues, running the league.
I have 5 leagues. I have 5 leagues. One of them I don't care about because
it's the orphan team.
I adopted one, and then there's another league with a bunch of I don't even know if they're still playing it. That I'm still baking my lineups. It's that ESPN league.
Oh. Yeah.
So I pretty much have 3 leagues. Doing pretty good. 2 of them are on bye. So I'm feeling pretty good. One of them I am playing. And I told them all already. I'm just happy to be there.
The main one, KickNPost Dino, the main one.
I don't feel like I should be there. I feel like I should be there because I feel like a lot of other teams have been, hurt with injuries. My team has overall stayed pretty healthy, but my wide receiving core is questionable. My tight end, questionable. All these things are kind of questionable, but I'm here and I'm happy to be here. I'm gonna do everything I can to, have my team succeed. But I just don't see myself going very far, so my expectations are pretty low. So even if I do lose, it'll hurt a little bit, but I'm not gonna.
You'll recover quickly.
I'll recover. Now the other 2 leagues where I'm on bye, those ones will hurt a little bit more. One of them is one of the leagues that I'm the one that's controlling it all and that kind of stuff. And then the other one, if you look at like the points forced and like all that kind of stuff, I'm actually the least
scored against.
I'm the least that I have scored points.
The lowest scored.
But I have a bye and I'm number 2. So not least out of everybody, but at least when it comes to like those like top dogs.
You would piss me off. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
And I do acknowledge that. I acknowledge that I've been very fortunate. I've been very blessed. Call God, you know what I mean? But like, I've been blessed. But if you look at like the points allowed, I'm not the lowest.
You're playing solid defense.
I'm still it's still like in the middle. So like I don't know. The cards have been in my favor a lot in that league. Black and yellow, I'm like top 2 when it comes to scoring points. So I know I fucking earned that one. I know he tried telling me one time, "Oh, you good
Why
matchups.
Why do you revisit this?
Good matchups."
I already explained 2 podcasts ago. I was salty. I was talking smack because my team was supposed to be a juggernaut, and it fell on his face. I ended with 3 wins. So, like...
And the thing is, your team sounded so good on paper.
I mean, if you go back, Aaron Jones, Christian McCaffrey, what was it? Who else did I have? Travis Etienne, Dalvin Cook. I had all of those players. Drafted. No trades. 3 wins.
Yep.
I don't... Like... What?
I don't know. Who was and you had good receivers too. Who were the receivers you got?
They were okay. They weren't great.
But like on paper, like in the beginning of the year, they didn't sound bad.
They didn't sound horrible, but I think it was Deontay.
Yeah.
I don't remember who else. Michael Pittman, maybe? I don't even think I got him.
No, I think you trade for him. You traded for Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
I told you that too.
It didn't even matter. I had Ramondre Stevenson. Who was I taking off the field to put? Who? Dalvin? I'd have to bench Travis Etienne these last couple weeks, but still, like, know.
It's crazy though because I mean a lot of these guys have been inconsistent with like Dalvin Cook. Travis Etienne's been up and down, and
even CMC had a mix in the beginning of the year that
a little bit
was tough. He had, of course, his games, but there were a couple in there you're like, what's happening?
I actually think he's been doing 17 points. I mean, his bad weeks were like when he was scoring like 15 points.
I know that's not bad, but I'm just saying like
CMC level, yeah, I get it.
CMC level, it's a 30 piece. It's
like, hey, he's showing up now. Man's showing up.
I made a trade in a dynasty league that pissed the league off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, this person's like notorious for bad trades, but when he sent me this, I was like, this is golden. I had to do it. It was Trevor Lawrence, some other young piece. I don't even remember. I just remember what I got back. I got back CMC, Aaron Jones, Darren Waller. He's on IR, but I mean it's dynasty. I don't care.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins. Yeah, so like technically I got older, but I can go for the chip now.
Yeah,
Like my team was in a
people.
position where it's like I was struggling. I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna make this work. These position players are kind of looking rough, and then they just boop, just dropped me pretty much.
Trevor Lawrence is a loss though, but when you're getting Kirk Cousins and who's the other? You got another quarterback, right? Or is it just Kirk Cousins?
It's just Kirk Cousins. I think I traded away Trevor Lawrence and Kenny Pickett.
And I think that's fine because you got CMC and you said Aaron Jones. Yeah. Darren Waller, I don't really care for, but
in the future, I mean, I have Kittle, so now I have Kittle,
wait
Darren
around.
Waller. If they both come back, like if they both start playing like tight ends again next year, like that team,
you can move Waller too, in my opinion, for a good piece if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean, for someone like me that I don't really care for Waller, I would be looking at it.
I'd have to wait for an explosion game. I feel
you would have to wait. You'd have to wait for like a good start next year, hopefully. But then I would move him if that was up to me, unless he was really going off. But
I have Desmond Ridder on my taxi squad. About to see what I have in him now.
I'm about to
this
find
week,
out.
And this dynasty league, which I like the idea of, if you know the guys aren't like scummy, no trade deadline. So like, I don't have to worry about I won't be able to trade him until.
Oh really?
Yeah, so it just keeps going. Because obviously it's dynasty. If I trade him to you, you don't have to worry about the year ever ending. It's just gonna keep going and going. So if I'm really gonna be scummy, I lose that player for however long. So yeah, they voted no trade deadline, which is going to be interesting because it's the first dynasty league that doesn't shut down during playoffs and then reopen after. So
that's cool because I think it's nice to know that the players in that league and the owners aren't going to be trying to you know what I'm trying to say. Try to
like,
cheat and give people.
I'll slip you this player for the next 3 weeks. You slip him back to me when the season's done. I'll split the money with you. No cap like that. I mean, it's not guaranteed that it won't happen, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get to see what I have in Desmond Ridder. And if he really blows up, then I'm feeling good. You know, I still have 4 quarterbacks in that league, even with acquiring the talent I have. So I'm trotting out Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, CMC, Aaron Jones on the bench right now. I don't have a spot for him. Like, that team could be nasty for a bit, but to be honest, there's teams in that league that are still nastier than that.
Really? Yeah. Who are your wide receivers?
Tyreek Hill. I didn't expect him to still
be good. Quarterbacks?
I was trying to sell him so hard. I couldn't sell him. Thank you.
Trying to sell Tyreek?
Beginning of the year, because I was like, I don't love Tyreek with Tua. I was worried about the arm strength of Tua, which is still an issue. But they're using him completely differently than Kansas City used him. So maybe I should have looked at that. I was like, maybe I should have looked at Tyreek being the new Debo. But I did a little bit, and I still didn't think he had the body type to be the new Debo. But you don't need to when you run like the fastest 40 probably in NFL history if you actually commit yourself.
Yeah, he's probably definitely the 4.2, 4.3 range.
Yeah, so 100%. Like you don't need to be Debo. But yeah, I have him. That's my wide receiver playing Adam Thielen, DJ Chark. Yeah, at who else? It's tough.
Who are your quarterbacks?
Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Desmond Ridder. That's the 4 that I have now.
See, I got you. See, that's where. But the thing is you can now you have plenty of pieces if you wanted to go get yourself another guy. But like you said, you have Desmond Ridder. You can kind of just see where he's at, how much he develops for the rest of this year. See how you feeling next year.
I have no 2023 picks either. First pick in 2023 is the 4th round, so I'll have to really like dig into my my prospect bag and see if I could sneak a 4th round steal, a 4th round rookie draft steal. It's going to be a tough one.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Because I need to do my research, and I want to get myself a receiver. Do
you have a first round pick?
No, I have a second rounder.
We'll see. You could get somebody.
We'll see. I mean, I know who will be available in the second round. Probably might even be available in the 3rd round.
Who?
I don't know if he's going to... Did he... A.T. Perry, did he... Declare?
I don't know if he did. I haven't heard anything yet. But it all depends on landing spot. That's the toughest part about fantasy. We could have him pegged at a certain spot. He could be pegged at a certain spot. But if he lands in Kansas City, that raises his ADP like insane. Even if it doesn't even make much sense.
Yeah.
They're just like, yep, he's with Patrick Mahomes now.
That would make sense, though, in my opinion.
Or if he got dropped in Green Bay, to the moon immediately. That's what happens every time. But
yeah, we'll see. Because I want to get myself a nice second round piece. He doesn't even have to be a receiver. I just want to get a high value person of use.
yeah,
And I have a third rounder as well. I have like 2 third rounders, so I'm gonna have to get my bag as well in the off season. I've been bad about that in the past. I think this year I'm really gonna try to dive into getting myself a solidified guy for the future that I like, or at least a guy that I'm excited for, or someone that's talented, someone that I can see developing. So we'll
you're
have
gonna
to
be
see.
locked into the NFL draft. I feel like this year.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. Because
Somewhat.
we're gonna be talking about something a little later that actually is gonna be something that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Whenever we talk about it, I'll talk about it. But yeah.
That was what I see. You got me all hyped with that. Now I don't even know where you're going with that. And like,
Just you want to go into it now? We took 3 things.
Hop right into it.
Okay, so we were going to talk about the 3 things that we took away in fantasy football this year. So I came up with my 3. Nothing is in a particular order. I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you mine, and then I'll go into a little bit of detail. Let us send it over to you. My first spot is get yourself a elite receiver. I think it's something that I have found to be very important this year, and we talked about it a little bit.
Does it matter the settings, or you just feel like in any setting?
I think in any setting, and the reason why is this: I feel like they're the most consistent, and maybe in non PPR because I don't play non PPR, so maybe we'd be talking about something else if I was in a league like that. But in PPR, I feel like they're the most consistent, other than quarterbacks. They're pretty much dropping at least 10 to 15 points at minimum each game, and you have yourself one of those elite receivers. You have yourself a Stephon, a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyree, Devontae Adams. Like you have one of those guys. They're dropping big games. They're dropping consistent games, and they're also high value, in my opinion. And so for me, when I went to the draft, I went 2 running backs because I thought in my head I was like, these are the hardest positions to solidify, and receivers can be easier. That was my mindset, and that's not completely wrong either. So I got my 2 running backs, and then I went with receiver. Unfortunately, when you do that, you end up falling with like a Mike Evans, a T. Higgins. And I love these guys. I like T. Higgins a lot as well. I'm a big T. Higgins fan, but one of my leagues is my wide receiver 1, and that's kind of risky because he's kind of inconsistent. He's not the number 1 on this team. He's had some pretty bad games as well this year because you have Jamar Chase and also because you have Joe Mixon, you have Tyler Boyd and these guys. So T. Higgins is kind of a risky person, and I have in my league I have T. Higgins and Mike Evans. That's not the greatest situation. Now sometimes T. Higgins will have his games. Mike Evans has had his games as well. So I think if I had on that team, take away one of those receivers, and then I have if I didn't draft DeAndre Swift, and I would have went because I took him in the second round, Tyreek. I think I could have had Amon Ra. If I would have had one of those guys,
Amon Ra went like 4th round. Though.
So I could have even waited a little bit more for Amon Ra. If I would have had those guys, I'd be feeling a lot nicer in the playoffs, knowing that I don't have to start DeAndre Swift. Because DeAndre Swift is, I don't even know what to make of him really right now.
It's hard to predict. He hasn't been the healthiest this year either, though.
He hasn't.
We're going, not to cut you off, but we're probably going to go into another year of wondering what to do with DeAndre Swift because we're still yet to see him be 100% of the year. So
I love the talent, but I have seen a lot of videos as well this year of him not being the best running the ball. Like he's not great finding the holes or anticipation. He seems to struggle with that. He just has the gift of making people miss, which is a good gift to have. So he'll have to develop a little bit more. He's still pretty young as well. But it definitely hurt this year for me. So that's number 1. Number 2, tight ends. If you have a chance to get yourself an elite one, take it.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
If you find yourself in a position where you can have a Travis Kelce, take it.
Yeah,
I know that Mark Andrews hasn't been amazing, but damn it, he's better than the majority of other people. So if you have a chance to get a Mark Andrews, take it. You have a chance to take a Pat Fryermuth, a T.J. Hawkinson. Who else is out there?
Why are you going so far down the list?
That's not so far down the list.
You should have stopped it.
No, don't be disrespectful.
You should have stopped at Mark Andrews. The only person I'll give you the input is Dallas Goedert.
No, he's being disrespectful.
You can't say take the elite and then name 6. There's not 6 elite tight ends.
When it comes to tight ends, these are the guys that will give you at least some consistency. And that's T.J. Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce. I'm missing one in there as well. There's somebody else in there. And there's a couple other guys. Yes, they're not elite. But you have to put somebody in that position. And unless, I know that you were mentioning before we were starting recording, that next year we might be changing some categories or
I won't
some.
change any league that I'm in currently. That's dynasty. That's unfair, especially with like the way you drafted.
Yeah.
But if I was to start a new league, which we're probably going to start a new league, we'd just eradicate. It'd be kind of experimental. Eradicate the tight end position, drop an extra flex in there, where you'll be able to start. It'll probably be a wide receiver, running back, tight end.
So you can still start one.
Yeah, that'll be the type of flex. We won't make it super flex, but it'll be wide receiver, running back, tight end, flex spot, and go from there.
But in your traditional leagues, you're gonna have to put somebody there, and you may not be excited with a Pat Freiermuth, but look at him. He's a top 5-ish tight end. He drops you like 8 to 10 points a game. It's better to have that than start yourself an Evan Ingram. He went crazy last game, but before that, not much to really look for. Not much there. You have Robert Tonyan.
Evan Ingram was like a 17th round pick though, so not really like. He was way down the list. Like people weren't like checking for him like that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like you still have to start somebody, and if you have a chance to have a guy that you can at least get some consistency. That's what I'm really trying to get at. A guy you can get some consistency that will get yourself an 8 points to 10 points a game on a more of a consistent basis. Take him because there's no guarantees with that tight end position. A lot of times they're going to give you 2 points, 3 points, 0 points.
I was about to say my point is actually the opposite to yours.
Really?
Yeah. If you're not getting Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, even the Kittles and the Pitts, which Pitts was supposed to be my high end tight end in one of my leagues this year. I don't have to tell you that it did not really work out as planned. If you're not getting the Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, and I'll actually cut a line right there until I can see Darren Waller be healthy and see Kittle kind of return to his spot in the offense, which the more weapons they add, the less they use them. Barring this Thursday, which, thank you. Play matchups. That's kind of where I'm at. Play the waiver wire.
I agree in a sense, but I'm not saying take them too high either. I'm not saying that we need to be taking a Pat Freiermuth in the 4th round or 5th round or even 6th round. But you're probably
going to get Hawkinson 5th round, 6th round because of the offense.
I don't hate that then. Because it's a position that you have to put somebody there. And if TJ Hawkinson can give me a 15-point game, 20-point game, because he does. He will give you that sometimes.
Hawkinson or DK Metcalf. Because that's probably who you'll be deciding at the back.
Yeah, I'd probably take DK. But at the end of the day, if I look at my leagues that I've been pretty successful in, I have guys on my bench that I could start for sure.
Yeah.
I could put in there, and I'll be fine. But I don't have a tight end. Like in black and yellow, I have plenty of depth. But I don't have a tight end. And that's what's going to cost me. I had Dallas Goedert. I no longer have him because he's unhealthy. Now I'm kind of screwed. Let's say I didn't have Dallas Goedert.
All right. Well, I'll give you the same. I'll give you the same method though. Say you just bit the bullet, and back end first, mid second, you took your tight end. Do you think you have enough depth to overcome that?
I mean, if I'm basing it off the leagues I have right now.
Yeah. So why not just do that?
I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Like, if you have Travis Kelce,
you're giving us 6 names. I don't think there's 6 names
because there are 6 names in my opinion. I disagree with that because I can pull up the stats right now. These guys that I've mentioned have been fine.
Brody, not doing it.
I'm
going top 2.
Talk about the guy that when we started talking. I'm playing for my life in these leagues. I'm playing for my life, and look at the man over here that's living life. I'm in bye weeks. I'm looking good. I'm doing pretty all right.
Let's revisit this after the playoffs is done. We'll see whose pockets are fatter.
Look, I'm okay with losing.
I could be fighting for my life, but let's see who win money.
I'm okay with losing. I don't really care. I mean, I care, but I'm okay with it. But at the same time, like if I know I have to put somebody in that spot, I'm not playing waiver wires too much. I'm not trying to go pick up a Robert Tonyan just so he can put me 3 points. Especially if my team is nice, I have to drop a player for a guy that's going to give me 3 points for this week. And I'm not going to keep rotating these tight ends over and over again. Fuck that. I'm just going to get myself a top 6, 7-ish guy that I know it's going to give me some consistency. We'll have some boom weeks, and we'll also have his down weeks because that's the position. And I'm just going to live my life like that. And I'll make sure that the rest of the team I draft, I'll just try to do my best I can to draft a good team because that's part of drafting a good team is drafting a good tight end now. And I think that's an important thing. That's something that everybody needs to be looking at because if you don't draft one of these top 5, 6 guys, you're looking at nothing. You're looking at a whole lot of just shit. Because that's what I'm trying to say. You're looking at you have this tier.
Pull up the top 10.
And then you
pull up the top 10 list real quick at tight ends. I guarantee you Gerald Everett's in there. What was a waiver wire pickup? And Njoku got hurt.
In what league?
at the beginning of the year, no one was
I
drafting
don't care
Jared
about the beginning
Allen.
of the year.
But that's what we're talking about if we're drafting people.
You're talking about playing waivers throughout the year. It's different when you're talking about week 1 waivers.
But if we're talking about picking people, that's
And
one of the guys.
he was drafted. I drafted Jared Everett.
I mean, yeah, because you're a little bit sharper, but not many people are looking at Jared Everett like that's going to be the guy. Donald Parham was going above him at some point. But, anywho.
That's man tripping.
I'm not. Look,
I get what you're saying. I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'm not paying for the middle tier tight ends. That's my stance. That's it.
Middle tier?
Like,
so top 5 tight ends in fantasy is middle tier.
Well, go look at the.
I didn't say top. Look, I said top 5, 6. I didn't say top 10. So past that 6 person mark.
But look at the difference.
I'm in the same stance as you.
Look at the difference between 3 and 2. Look at the difference between 4 and 3. That's what I'm saying. I don't care about the 4th best tight end or the 5th best tight end because that changes based on a boom week. I'm not trying to pay for those guys. I'll just wait.
Is there a better way for me to see this? Because I just saw Jared Watt on this list.
Oh, that's probably ADP. You probably have it set to ADP. You have to change it to season.
Is it I can look at this on Sleeper?
Yeah.
Okay, where do I look at that from?
So you'll go to like the waiver wire section, and then you'll change it to position, and instead of having it at ADP, you'll change it from available to you'll just change it to everything. You want to hand it to me real quick? I could probably do it real fast. Yeah. But
no, that's not tripping.
I don't think I'm tripping, sir.
I agree with you at a certain point. Like, if you can't get one of the guys I just mentioned, I agree with him because there's nothing else you can do after that. You might as well tank it and just worry about worried about some other things. But I'm just saying, if you can get some of these guys, you're looking pretty good, in my opinion.
Oh no, you would be, but that's the thing.
And you maybe say, okay, DK or this guy. Yeah, of course you're gonna take DK. But if I know I can get a better tight end matchup in my game versus the other person I'm playing, and I drafted a good team that I know I could put good guys in there because I was able to, why not do it? That could give you the game right there.
All right, you ready?
Oh, give it to me. I don't want you to tell me.
I can't tell you.
Okay, fine, tell me.
Dang,
tell me.
You ain't got a real.
Yeah, I'll tell you where my cutoff point is. Where I'm like, I don't really care for that.
Okay, so guess how much the number of tight end had in fantasy this year?
Don't give me that. I don't care about the number part. Give me just the ranking. Now, don't tell me how much.
The numbers matter.
The points scored.
Yeah,
I don't care about that.
That's my whole stance. What you mean you don't care? That's what the point is.
Okay, fine. Number one.
So
500 points. I don't know.
Okay,
200.
so if you took, this is sad too. If you took Mark Andrews, he has scored 157 fantasy points this year, right?
Okay.
Right. If you got Evan Ingram off the trash heap, I know his points per game is not good. Guess how much points he scored this year?
This man, he just scored 40 points in a game. A complete outlier, and this is the
okay. Pat Freiermuth. Let's use your example. Pat Freiermuth. Guess how much he scored this year?
Probably about like 120.
128, right? 128.
Can we talk about how I was pretty spot on right now?
Yeah, you were pretty spot on. Guess who's behind Pat Freiermuth?
It probably dips off because that's the dip off point.
The dip off point is number 2. That's a dip off.
You're pissing me off because I get it. Like you got Travis Kelce, a generational tight end. Of course, he's the number one wide receiver. He's the number one receiver on his team. You got Mark Andrews, the number one receiver on his tight end, and then after that, there's no longer that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not chasing the other guys.
But that doesn't mean they don't hold value.
Their value is not worth paying. That's the angle I'm giving you.
What? Yeah, if you're paying them third, fourth round picks, yes, that's too much. But
you should not be drafting your tight end anywhere from the 4th to 7th round. That's my stance.
Yeah, you do that, and you'll find up you'll have Evan Ingram, and you'll get excited for one game out of the year.
Yeah, but you look at all these guys that I'd be able to get in those spots, and I'll take that production over that every time.
But that's not the point.
That is the point.
If you could draft. Let me see.
That is the whole point.
No, it isn't, because I get it. I get what you're saying. You pick DK or this guy. Of course, you're going to pick DK. But if I could draft a tight end that is going to give me a consistent 10 points a game and draft another guy right afterwards that's going to give me somewhat of the same production as DK or just a high guy like that, because you can find that if you draft well. Now, instead of me having a scrub tight end with no points, I now have a tight end that's going to give me 10 points, and I have a good guy over here. Instead of just completely diminishing a position that I have to start. Let me tell you what Pat Fryermuth has done this whole year, points wise.
If I had Njoku and Gerald Everett running into the season, I would have been living. So and Njoku got hurt.
Okay, so Pat Fryermuth, 12 points, 10 points, and he's gonna have bad games because this is a tight end, so don't say.
I'm surprised you didn't just skip over it. No, that's usually what you would have done.
12 points, 10 points, 6 points, 15 points, 7 points, 9 points, 15 points, 3 points, 15 points, 6 points, 12 points, 12 points. How many? It's averaging at like 10.
Where was his average ADP?
He got taken in the 12th round.
What was my stance?
Your stance was at the beginning. It wasn't taking the 40. I said,
I'm not trying to pay. The middle tier tight ends. I'm not going 4th round through 8th round.
I never said to do that.
Tight ends. But you named
my stance is if you have a chance to take them, and you're at a point where you're comfortable taking them.
You named the top 6, and I said
take them.
If they fall in that one, I'm not taking them. Then you said I'm tripping. That's why this whole.
You're tripping and not taking a viable
I'm not taking T.J.
end.
Hawkinson if I have to take him 7th round. I'm not taking. What was the other guy that was in that top 10? Dallas Goedert. He's solid. I'd say he's at the back end of that 3rd. But again, I'm not taking Dallas Goedert if I have to take him in the 4th through 8th rounds. Not doing it. Not doing it. Because the guys in those rounds are producing 200 points in the fantasy season, and I'm here chasing 150 from Dallas Goedert. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Right? And maybe that's why I end up with the most points scored in the league and fighting for a playoff spot. Maybe. But I'm not doing it.
Well, it's because you drafted a good team around it.
Well, no, it's because I drafted Travis Kelce, who has 250 fucking fantasy points as a tight end. I think that's tight end premium scoring too, so we might be a little bit...
I pulled up black and yellow.
Okay, cool. I was about to say, because if you pulled up that, then that would definitely throw the thing off a bit. But yeah, my stance is no middle tier tight ends in the 4th through 8th.
I don't really give a fuck about where you take them. I'm just talking about if you have a chance to get yourself a solid tight end, then take it, because that is going to make a difference. You have to start somebody there, and I would rather start Pat Fryermuth, that's going to give me about 10 points, than me start a nobody that gets me 1 point. I know that we're talking about little points here, but at the same time, it's a position that you don't have a lot of talent at. You have nothing there. If you can get yourself, my only stance is this: if you can get yourself one of those top 5, 6 guys, take it. Other than that, I agree with him. You're gonna have to play waivers. You're gonna have to play around with matchups, and that's fine. But you have these guys for a reason.
The beauty of this is that we get to run this back next year, God willing. We get to run this back next year and test these theories, because I'm not taking a tight end 6th, 7th round. I will take a Dallas Goedert around there. I will take I'm not taking Pat Fryermuth right there. Based on the slide,
I would take T.J. Hawkinson about like the.
I know you hate Darren Waller, but based on the slide, if Darren Waller's available in the 8th round, you're not taking him next year?
I don't care for Darren Waller whatsoever. The man can't stay healthy. You want me to show you his history? Let me show you his history. I looked at it the other day just to see. He's had 1 good year that he stayed healthy. Other than that man hasn't done a single thing. This man's also the age of 30.
So you just stay away from
he had 2 seasons. So
injury prone. No, I'm just asking. I'm not even trying to be combative or anything.
Yeah, if you
can't stay away from injury prone.
If you can't stay healthy, I'm not interested. Okay. Because 2015 he was the 100th ranked tight end. 2016, he was the 57th ranked tight end. 2017, he didn't play at all. 2018, he was the 83rd ranked tight end. 2019, 2020 were good years, 4th and 2nd. Now we're looking at you're ranked 19th in tight end. Now this year, you're ranked 45th. I'm not interested in that.
Why did you bring up his first 2 years?
I actually.
Well, I was about to say, you went too far in this man's history.
I don't care about if I look too far.
He was on drugs.
I don't care.
He had to get right.
He hasn't done shit for me to be like, let me just take him. Before this year started, I took Dalton Schultz over Darren Waller. And people thought I was tripping.
Who thought you were tripping?
A few people. Didn't they say something in the comments?
Nobody said anything.
Did they say anything?
Nah. You were expecting it. That's why you haven't remembered like that. You're like, I'm afraid to take Dalton Schultz over Darren Waller.
That's right, because I put it in the comments. I put it in the comments. I was like, I remember putting a comment in, am I about to take Dalton Schultz over Darren Waller right now?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I am. And, Dalton Schultz hasn't done amazing, but he's better than Darren Waller this year.
Because he's played.
Because he's playing. He's playing,
playing.
and I can start Dalton Schultz.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Regardless, I think it sounds like me and you are on the same wavelength, but we're kind of are because all I'm saying is if you have an opportunity and you feel happy with your team and you're not don't take them too early. I didn't say that. I'm not saying take a Pat Fryermuth 4th round. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying take a.
I gave you my range.
I'm not saying take Dallas Goedert in the 5th round. I would take Dallas Goedert the 6 is the earliest I'd go. And then below that, I mean, it's really for me. It's Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. Who else? I don't care for Darren Waller. I don't care for George Kittle. Then you have Dallas Goedert,
T.J. Hawkinson,
which dips all the way down to the 6th round for me. T.J. Hawkinson is like a 7th, 8th rounder for me that I would be willing to take him. And then Pat Fryermuth is probably like a 10th rounder that I would take him. Like I'm not talking about skip over elite guys. But I'm just saying, if you feel like you've done amazing, if you're really happy with the draft up to the 7th round, and you have T.J. Hawkinson right there, knowing how there's nobody in this position, especially with Adam Thielen next year going to be older, take a T.J. Hawkinson. You know, because who else you going to put there?
I'm going to front load my team if I don't get the elite 2, and then I'll go a combination of guys that I have faith in. So going into this year, I liked Njoku. He got hurt, obviously.
But when he's played,
he's looked good. I like Gerald Everett. We had that conversation a couple times where I said I like Gerald Everett, young tight end, in an offense that likes to use a tight end. Haven't been able to find that guy. He's thrived when he's healthy.
He's not solid.
For the Chargers. I like to, of course, I would have taken my shot at Robert Tonyan probably late. Hasn't really worked out. I probably would have taken my shot with. I mean, I did take Cade Otton, but he was waiver wire. He's had 1 or 2 games. I wouldn't be starting him really, right? Mike Gesicki's poo-poo. I didn't like him.
I thought there was too many miles.
And he they're still trying to trade him, which depending where he goes,
maybe.
You know, Noah Fant, he's been up and down. I had a team where I've had him. This was a good week for him. He was on my bench, but this was a good week for him, right? So I prefer to take a combination of maybe 3 or 4 of those guys and try to figure it out at the back end. And I can front load my team with like wide receivers who will give me 15 to 17 points a game. And then I'll play with the tight ends at the back end if I don't get the elite 2. If I have to take a tight end 4th through 8th round. Now, if they slip out of that range for me, where I have my running back 1, my running back 2, probably my top 3 wide receivers, probably my 3rd running back, so that's like 6 positions, maybe a quarterback in there, right? That I feel confident with. If I have all those positions in my starters filled, then I might toy with it.
And well, that's what I'm more saying. If you're happy with what you've drafted so far,
that's what I'm saying.
So
that's why I gave myself the range 4th to 8th round. I'm kind of off the tight ends.
And that's where me and you disagree a little bit because I'm willing to take a Dallas Goedert 6th round. I'm willing to do that because I know, especially with Dallas Goedert, he is not even more of a consistent 10 point. He's more of a consistent like 12 to 15 points.
Yeah.
And having a position that can't really do that unless you have like 2 other guys.
I think you move your range a little bit higher based on what you've seen. That's
where I'm at.
I'm going for broke with the position, and if I don't, I'm going for what I could get based on matchups. When I could go for broke in the other positions. Like I played against a fantasy analyst. I think his name was like Dave Klug. He's on Twitter. He always posts, and his draft strategy I actually envied after going over it. He just took elite wide receiver after elite wide receiver after elite wide receiver. And it was the BGE batch that had like pretty knowledgeable fantasy players. And his team went bananas. And I look back and I'm like, it's fucking smart. I mean, of course, they had to stay healthy. But you tried out like CD, Devontae, Tyreek, like those 3. Because you could actually get those 3 the first 3 rounds.
Good.
Like, he kind of figured it out. And he punted tight end and was trotting out Gerald Everett some weeks, which worked out, and then trotting out Njoku when he was healthy, which worked out, and then tried out, so
which I can get with like a strategy like that because my thing is if you can get yourself 2 like solid tight ends late in the draft like a Gerald Everett and Njoku, and you like them.
The issue is that you didn't know they were solid before the year, so
you didn't. But
that's what you have to go into.
But the thing is, well, here's the thing though. I drafted Everett because of the situation. And because of that, I did. So, yeah, we didn't know if he was going to be good this year. But if you feel pretty good with that, then you feel good. Njoku definitely has a talent. It'd be risky. But if you did that and they both clicked, I mean, you'd look good. But the thing is that's risky, and it's a position. I mean, even if
You'd like to say you want to be risk averse, but you can't. If you don't get the top two, Kyle Pitts was risky going into the year.
It's true.
Like
even Dallas
Hockenson, we love TJ Hockenson, but go back and look at his scoring.
I didn't say I like TJ Hockenson.
You said in your top 6, you'd be okay taking. So
he's in my top.
I don't love him. You don't love him, but he's in your top 6 of guys you'd be willing to draft. Yeah. Look at that Detroit stint before he got traded to Minnesota.
Well, he wasn't healthy.
He didn't miss that many games, Matt.
We've had this conversation before that he couldn't stay healthy.
No, I'm talking about Detroit this year. I'm not talking about.
Okay.
I'm saying he had rough games in Detroit. He had a really big boom game when everybody was hurt. We talked about it on the podcast. And then they moved him 2 weeks later to a rival. Right? So we talk about the inconsistency in the big boom games getting people in the top 4. He is a product of that as well. A lot of his scoring for the year came in one game.
Yeah.
Right? So, I'm willing to punt on that position if I'm going to have to deal with that and get, again, a trio of wide receivers that, like you said in your first point, consistency every week. That's all.
Well, I mean, because it's going to be so hard to find a consistent wide receiver in the 6th, 7th rounders. Now, I said they're not out there. I'm just saying it is going to be difficult.
I know, but you're not looking for them to be your wide receiver 1 at that point.
You're not. But my point with wide receivers is I wish I would have, for example, DeAndre Swift 2nd round, I wish I would have gone a different route. I don't know if Stephon was available right there, but
probably.
If he was...
Man. If you go back and check KickNPost Dino, that was my whole strat the whole time. I skipped Cooper Kupp, which... Thank you, Lord. Y'all were roasting me earlier in the year, but thank you, Lord. I went Devontae Adams over Cooper, and then right back around came Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, but mostly because he got hurt.
I mean...
But yeah, situation, even if he said
back end of the year, it started to go.
He'd have Baker Mayfield as his quarterback right now anyways, even if he was staying.
He would have still ate with Baker, but back end of the year, before the injury, it was starting to taper off. We're getting less of the touchdowns scored. Still a lot of the 10 catches.
I still like Cooper Kupp, but
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying it worked out that I didn't take him for what I needed. Because if I had him instead of Devontae Adams, I'd be out of the playoffs for sure.
True. It worked out for you for sure. So I said 2 points.
I need your third point.
What was my third point? I got you all riled up.
Over tight ends. Let's make that over tight ends.
Oh, this one's a big one for me. This one isn't going to really apply. I don't think would apply to you very much. Know the rookies. I have to know him because there's a few examples I can give you. I wasn't high on Garrett Wilson, and no. It's not because I wasn't high on him. It's because I didn't know who he was.
Check episode 1 or 2.
And I did say that I liked Elijah Moore this year because I liked the talent. I like what I saw from what I saw last year. Didn't see anything of Garrett Wilson in college. I don't watch college football. I don't watch anything really college football related. I know he was a high draft pick. I knew that he was a good receiver, but I never saw it with my own eyes. And I'm a person, I like to see it. I like to see it to believe it. I was wrong. I'll admit I was wrong on that. And Garrett Wilson, after I've watched him and I sent you a video, he looked nice. He's exactly what I like in a receiver. And I just played around and took Olave in a draft just because. And he all of a sudden is a top 15 wide receiver for me. And one of the reasons why I'm in the playoffs right now, and I have a bye week because of Olave. I took Mike Evans and Elijah Moore. Those were the 2 first receivers I took, was Mike Evans and Elijah Moore. And I have a first week bye because of Chris Olave. Thank you, Chris Olave, for saving my ass.
Does that team have Eckler?
Yeah, it does.
Come on now.
No.
Thank you, Austin Eckler.
They don't have Eckler. It has a lot of great pieces. Yeah. It's not just because of that. I have, it's actually not Eckler. It's CMC.
No.
Stevenson's.
No. Yeah, it was probably just Olave then.
But no, he did help though, because if I didn't have Olave and I didn't take him, and I was having to put out Elijah Moore and Mike Evans, and I'd have to play waivers a lot. I don't know who. I think I have Tyler Boyd and stuff like that. I took a lot of guys that could have boom games. But anyways, he saved my wide receiver positions a lot. So shout out to Olave. But I love Olave just watching him. I love Garrett Wilson just watching him. Pickens. I don't know. I just know your rookies, know who you're playing with. You have your Kenneth Walkers out here starting. You have who else?
Want to put a little asterisk. We were expecting him to get run but we didn't expect him to be not in a split. Like Rashad Penny looked really good at the back end of last year, looked really good at the beginning of this year, got hurt, opened up the floodgates for Kenneth Walker, but
I think my point
he
though
would have
is
been a part
like
of your split issue. But your point is know the guys so that you know.
what to expect.
Yeah.
I don't know anything of what I'm looking for. I drafted Olave without even knowing what he looked like, and I'm not even playing.
All you were looking at was the great picture on Sleeper.
I saw a great picture on Sleeper, and that was it. And I know that's sad. That's on me. That's on me. That's my bad. I learned my lesson, and even though it doesn't seem like it's hurted me too much, Dynasty it has. I would have taken some other rookies if I would have known.
Damian Pierce of the world.
Yeah, I would have taken some guys like that if I would have known. But know your rookies is a big thing for me. And now going into next year, that's a lesson I've learned. I'm gonna know my rookies. I'm gonna try to at least. I'm gonna just watch a lot of highlights, looking at all like the top 30 receivers, top 30 running backs. Just watch highlights.
Listen to me and Dave. Dave don't watch these, but listen to me and Dave talk about our rookie outlook.
Yeah,
we do that podcast every year. I'm really excited for that every year. So.
And I was telling them all. Like I feel like I do think I could see a good receiver when I see. And I don't know for a fact. I don't know for sure.
I mean,
but
maybe
I saw
playing the position in the past. So,
And it's not even like that. It's just the amount of times I have played years in the position. That's not really much to do with it, but at the same time, I love watching videos on it. Like the amount of videos I've seen of route running, of Antonio Brown highlights, all these all kinds of highlights I've watched. I watch foot techniques. I watch all that kind of stuff. So I feel like when I watch, I could see something that I like. And I watched Olave play for New Orleans. And I don't even think he had a crazy game, but I just saw like 2 catches, and I'm like, I'm sold.
I'm
sold. Because I saw he had a knack for being open. He was a route running
savant. Man, is
great route, crispy too. You can just tell the confidence and he just knows the game. He's an intelligent player. You can just see it. And I saw that with the first 30 minutes of me watching, and I was so happy that I did take him in a league. But I was really sad because I didn't get him in KickNPost. And I don't know if you know this, but I have tried to get Olave multiple times.
Yeah, you won't be able to get him.
And I won't be able to. And I also pissed off the owner because of it. So
he's also just a big Olave guy, so
he is too.
Yeah,
but yeah. And that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I want to start another dynasty league next year. It's not just for Olave, but I'm going to try to get Olave. But I also want to know these rookies going into it as well, so I can feel a lot better about myself. So, but yeah, that's something. That's my third point: is know your rookies.
I like it. I have a few points myself. First, believe in the talent sometimes over the situation. I've always been a guy where switching systems or switching quarterbacks, sometimes I'm a little bit hesitant to take a guy. Don't worry about that. That's what I've kind of learned, especially over the last 2 years. D-Hop was a guy where I was kind of out on because of that. Boy, he's still balling. DK and Tyler Lockett, we were super worried about them because of what the quarterback situation could be. The boys are talented. The boys are balling. Tyler Lockett included, which he's out now. If you had him in the playoffs, tough scenes, broke his finger on Thursday Night Football, he will be done. But before that, top 15 wide receiver, if I'm not mistaken. So believe in the talent. Even sometimes when it doesn't show up the most for you, believe in the talent. Like A.J. Brown, was worried about him going to the Eagles. He's been solid. Right? Devontae Adams, different team. Wasn't too worried about him, but again, Stephon Diggs' first year in Buffalo, people were worried. Tyreek, his first year in Miami. Don't be too hindered by the situation. Believe in the player. Believe that they're that type of guy because they're that type of guy, not because of the system.
And if anything, now these guys are going to be slipping in drafts. I mean, you were getting Tyreek in 4th round, 4th round. So even though, yeah, I agree with you, and you're getting these guys at a discount as well. A lot of these guys. So if you believe in the talent, you like the player, but you don't love that there's something that's changed, you're going to get them at a discounted price. And if you click, it clicks. They have talent. So
one thing that it's not really a lesson I've taken away, but stick to your guns when it comes to injured players, especially serious injuries. Told everybody to be off of Michael Thomas. I'm sorry. Like, if you actually went out there and drafted Michael Thomas, to all the people who drafted OBJ as well and just expected to be able to use him this year, understand the science of it instead of listening to football guys. If you're really interested in drafting injured players or staying on top of injured players, go check out like a fantasy doctors or actual like doctors cover the sport on YouTube a lot. Listen to what they have to say about the injuries because they have no interest in if a player plays or not. It doesn't matter to them. They're just there for the science. And a lot of these guys, they could have told you, re-injury rate is high, or chance of re-injury is high. It's not 100% like accurate, but it's something as a fantasy player. The more years you play, the more you get into stuff like that. Um, and for my third point,
I like that second point. I mean,
yeah,
the only person I can know of that science has said stay away from is CMC, but this year he's been looking really healthy so far.
this year he has come back to life a bit. He's had a lot of nagging stuff, but he's played through all of it.
Yeah.
Ankle, calf, all that
I think
stuff.
I think he knows that.
He knows what it is.
Yeah, so he's like, even if he has something going on, he's like, I'm still.
Especially when you got moved to the Niners, and he knows how they use their running backs. They'll just call you up one day and be like, "What you doing on Sunday night? We got Trent Williams. Just run behind him." That's. I mean, Jordan Mason. You didn't really watch the game on Thursday, but they put him in to kind of run the game down, and that boy was balling at the back end of the game because you said you didn't. You said you didn't really have a dog in the fight on Thursday. You weren't paying attention like that.
Oh yeah, I mean I liked the game, but I didn't watch it because I had nobody playing. So
yeah, but yeah, just pay attention to scientists and doctors over the coach being like, yeah, it'll be ready week 1. Coach don't know, right? He just talking out his butt. Jerry Jones, oh yeah, we'll get him back. No, it don't matter. Don't listen to those guys. And final point.
I do have. Are you still thinking about it?
Yeah.
So I have an honorable mention.
Let me hear it.
So my honorable mention right now is don't, if you have a running back that's a backup, but you know he's also pretty solid, or at the running back one might get hurt, try to keep him. I mean, I have gone through. I think I've missed out on like 5-6 people because they didn't show me.
About Jeff Wilson?
No, it's not just Jeff Wilson. There's a lot of people that I just kind of let go because they weren't doing anything for me for like 2-3 weeks, and I went and got another guy. So this is some patience, and I think Amal made a really good point. I don't know if he ever said it on the podcast. I'm sure he has, but if you have a receiver that's mid-tier and you have a backup running back, who do you drop? I mean, it depends on your team, depends on the situation, but having a running back that could eventually be the starter, or the starter could get hurt, now you fall yourself into a starting position. And I've missed out a lot of opportunities. I mean, Jeff Wilson, Kenneth Walker, I was too impatient with him. I know there's other people that I missed out on. I keep forgetting.
I don't know for sure. But one shining example I'd say is like a Tyler Boyd. He was that type of player this year. I wouldn't usually use him as an example. Or like a Devontae Parker. He's a better example.
Yes.
You hold him, you might get 5 to 7 points if you have to start him. The chances of him really blowing up isn't really like that. He's in the Patriots offense, already not pass heavy. He's not their most valuable target like getter. Right now, Jacoby Myers is still that for them, or their running backs. You could keep him on your bench all year, or you could have stashed Gus Edwards, who would have given you a winning week 1 week, or a Deontay Foreman, who had a 4-week stretch where dog was a monster.
It's still splitting, so he's still not doing bad. So. Yeah.
Or you could have had Jeff Wilson, which we talked about, that we knew the 49ers running backs and how they use them, and that it was a high re-injury rate to a guy like Elijah Mitchell. The chances of falling into a very valuable asset or just somebody you could start is higher by stashing these guys. Alexander Madison's had like 1 blow-up game this year. Nothing too crazy.
But it definitely could save your ass. And that's a few moments I've noticed that. I felt that. And I've only gave you 2 examples, but I know for a fact I missed out on other guys because I was too impatient. So if you find yourself in a position where you have a Devontae Parker, just get rid of Devontae Parker. You can probably find another guy like that on waivers, to be honest with you. But you can't find yourself a starting running back on waivers unless you are prepared to spend the fab on it.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's a solid point.
You don't have to pay for them on their waivers, but if they're on your team already and you can afford to keep them on your team. Now, I'm not saying if there's somebody on the waivers that you really like to hold on to this guy that you might start. If there's a guy on waivers, take him, but just be patient if you can. So
yeah, like
patience is really important.
And that goes for certain wide receivers too. I mean, I wouldn't be too amped up. Like, you're not going to find a Christian Watson situation many years. They're comparing his situation a little bit to like A.J. Brown, where he had a back end of the year blow up after dealing with injuries. But even that, like, what you could have achieved keeping those backup running backs on your bench, like accumulating people's backups or just backups in general, you can move one of those guys once the starter gets hurt for a pretty standard top 25, top 30 wide receiver. Of course, back end of that range. to a team that needs it bad. Like,
and it's hard for a starting running back to stay healthy 17 games out of the year.
yeah.
Not a lot of guys have done that this year. I mean, I'm sure there's some. You know who has?
Who?
Miles Sanders.
Yeah, which it hurts. That was one of my favorite running backs. The first year I played Dynasty, he led me to a chip, and then it was just so many hamstring injuries. It was like, I couldn't deal with it anymore.
One thing, I don't think I've talked about this, but I love how Miles Sanders plays.
Oh no, when he plays, he looks great.
Because he looks so just fundamentally sound. And that's what always gets me, is those guys that just, he doesn't fumble the ball. I don't know if you ever noticed, but he is so fundamentally correct on this. Anytime he gets in a situation, bam. He finds the hole with ease. He knows when to burst. He just looks so good.
And that's why anytime Philadelphia line too.
Yeah.
That's the biggest selling point for me too.
That's why if you ever send me any of these posts, like I know you sent me something about like these draft lists. Number 31, I saw Bijan Robinson with the Eagles, and what did I say?
Fuck that list.
Fuck that list. So,
I mean, fuck that list, but bro, I'm sorry.
I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
I'm sorry.
I get it. I don't care. Bijan Robinson could be Jesus.
I don't think they're gonna. When there's an opportunity to get that guy, when they have to pay Miles Sanders,
I know Miles Sanders is not going to be on the Eagles next year. I'm already predicting. Not predicting. Everybody's predicting it, but
he might be on the Falcons. He could find a different spot, but you move him out of that situation behind a great line, and it gets really ugly. You know, it would be really nice for him. Well, Tennessee's line isn't even that great anymore right now. Because, you know, they might take him.
Come on over here to Pittsburgh, Miles Sanders.
Damn, you're done with Najee already?
I'm not done with Najee.
I was about to say, that's kind of tough. That's the thing. There's not many landing spots for these guys if they don't get re-signed. And there's talent coming. You know? Like, maybe they keep Bijan Robinson on the bench for a bit, but...
F Bijan Robinson, man.
That boy is a dog outside of Bijan.
I haven't even seen him play, so sorry
if you see highlights, you might fall in love.
Not like Miles Sanders.
Okay.
I'm sure I like Bijan more than Miles Sanders. But this man, it's just something about even though I've had my moments where I didn't believe in him, it's just about drafting a guy and believing in him, and seeing him succeed. There's just a feeling there that I'm just like, man, feels good.
Yeah,
feels good. I want, even though I'm not going to win that league, I'm not going to win KickNPost Dino.
You don't know that.
I feel like if I win that league,
you don't know that.
All of y'all folded. Like if I win that league, all y'all folded.
Matt, you have 2 quarterbacks. You're doing better than me. You have 2 quarterbacks.
But I don't have Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams.
Mariota went home. They benched him. He's like, all right, guess I'm done. Went home.
Did he really?
Yeah. There's no chance he plays for the rest of the year. Actually, they put him on IR.
He said, why is he on IR?
He's just gone. They just said he left the team. Hurt? I don't know. It's the most mysterious thing ever. Mariota. They don't have like an injury tag. They just said for now he's not on the team. And then they switched his role to IR. And I'm just like, huh?
I gotta see this.
No. He's at home. He's chilling at the crib. Yeah. Now I don't know what to do. So there's no chance
he has a knee injury.
Oh, now there's an injury? Okay, cool. Before they just said he went home. He's away from the team right now.
He said F this.
Yeah.
I did my thing and I'm out.
Yeah, for real. Nah, man. But do I have a super flex point? I might have a super flex point. Don't wait too long on quarterbacks.
Yeah, this man is the definition of waiting on quarterbacks.
That's my stance. I mean, it worked out to an extent. I didn't expect it to go this south though. I really had to have a lot break wrong. Like, I didn't think Carson Wentz would lose his job or get hurt.
True.
Right? I drafted Russell Wilson. I didn't expect him to suck.
I had to trade him. I'm still not completely out on Russell
Wilson. No, I mean, but for this year, I'm out.
This year,
how would you not be out this year?
I mean, he did just drop 30 points, so.
And now he's out.
I'm not completely out on him.
You're picking one 30-point game to be like, yay?
He has some 20-point games.
I'm glad that you see the better in people. It's a good quality you have.
Yeah, I'm not completely out on him. Yeah, this year he's been disappointing, but
there's always next year.
There's always next year.
And the next year, because they gave him 5 years, $250 million.
So
there's a lot of years for them to figure it out, right? But I traded him, and then Aaron Rodgers got hurt. He's back, though. They almost benched him for the year. I don't know what I would have been doing.
What happens if they do decide to just go stick with Jordan Love? Because that still might happen. Because they might put Jordan Love out there just to see what they have in Jordan Love like the last 2 years.
Apparently, Jeff Driscoll has like quarterback and tight end capabilities on Sleeper. So I'm picking up Jeff Driscoll. I'm plugging him in at quarterback and hoping that he does something every week because that's all that's left on the waivers.
One thing I feel like I've learned is at least it's kind of the same point with running backs. Get yourself at least a running or RB, what they call RB hero.
Yeah,
so I think that with quarterbacks, you should do the same thing as Superflex. Get yourself a good quarterback that you know that you can put out there, and you'll be happy with, and then you can take 2 other quarterbacks that should. But in your case, Aaron Rodgers could technically be that guy, and
he wasn't. I got him so late.
But I mean, like
I knew he wasn't going to be that either. Russell Wilson would have kind of been that guy if he exploded for what round I got him in. I think it was 6th. Instead of Elijah Mitchell, I could have gone to quarterback, but I think they were already going kind of fast at that point. I'd be reaching. But I don't know, man. Hero QB probably is the way to go. I would not have changed anything I did in the first 3 rounds at all, though. I still like that trio. Travis Kelce, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. I'm not changing that.
I'm jelly of that.
Yeah, I'm not changing that.
Jelly.
Would I change the 4th and 5th round? Yeah. I went Elijah Mitchell and Leonard Fournette. That hurt.
That could be a topic that we could talk about. Who are our hits that we hit on this in fantasy?
I have a lot of leagues to look through.
I mean, like we could pick like KickNPost Dino.
KickNPost Dino.
Who are our hits and who are our misses?
Big swing and miss on Elijah Mitchell. Not completely his fault. Got hurt then.
Not over yet though, but
it's over.
It's forever.
There's CMC there.
Because he's forever going to be dynasty. Well, I mean, because CMC is there, I almost feel like they might move Elijah Mitchell.
If they move him,
maybe
it's not the best selling point right now because he's hurt.
True.
So he's I don't have Khalil Herbert.
I mean, you have plenty of misses in quarterback.
Yeah, I have literally the worst 4 I could have gotten in that situation. Like I was so hyped on Marcus Mariota.
I mean, he was a top.
He helped me make it to the playoffs.
He was number 17. I think he was ranked number 17 right now. So he was probably a top 15.
And I came on here and saying that quarterbacks is currency. I don't even know if I did it on any platform at all.
I will agree.
I've been on quarterbacks as currency.
As always said.
And I literally have pesos. That's the type of currency I decided to accumulate in quarterback. Yeah. It's Mexican dollars. It's not worth anything.
Mexican dollars. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's not Mexican dollars, bro. Pesos are used all over the place. Colombians use pesos.
They do too? Okay, nice.
Yeah, that man disrespectful. And pesos also, that's not a good acronym because pesos just means dollars in Spanish.
But it's
you're trying to say
lower
pennies.
Value. No, it's lower value. I'm not saying pennies.
Pesos are lower value?
Yeah.
They call everything pesos over there.
I don't.
It just means dollars.
I'm talking about the conversion rate, Matt. So
then why just say cents? Say cents.
No.
Why throw the word pesos out there when you don't even know that it's more than just a Mexican currency?
I mean, obviously there's more than one pesos, but I just went Mexican currency because it's a lower value. I'm talking on world economy, Matt. I'm not talking about literally the word pesos. I could be using Jamaican dollars, but then I would have just been saying Jamaican dollars, and it's the same thing.
But pesos means dollars in Spanish.
Why are you okay?
Because that's bad.
Let's change it.
Cents.
I did Jamaican dollars, not even cents, because it's less than cents. That was the point I was making.
Pesos are less than cents.
They are.
No, they're not.
How are they not?
Do you know what pesos
are?
How
much is 1 peso? Conversion rate to $1, US dollar.
It depends on where you're talking about because half of South America uses pesos and they have different currencies.
How many Mexican pesos?
I don't know about
Mexican dollar.
I don't know.
That's what I was talking about. But now we're going to cover the whole South America because you want to be specific.
Because that's what pesos are. It's half of
You're losing the point.
It's pretty much half of South America, and if the conversions are different,
you're losing the
one peso in Mexico could be 1 cent. 1 peso in Colombia could be $1. 1 peso in this country could be this. We don't know.
Are we going to bring up conversion tables in the middle of the podcast?
Why don't you just say cents?
All of them
could have just said cents.
All of them are less than the US dollar. All of them, conversion-wise, are less than the US dollar.
Why is that the example?
Because it's like 100 pesos probably to $1. No matter the country.
You don't know that though.
I can almost guarantee. I'm pretty confident.
But you couldn't. Why didn't you just say cents?
You're making it very difficult.
You could have just said, "Man, I took all these quarterbacks, and in reality, these were the cents of quarterbacks."
Because it was less than cents. That was the point.
What is less than?
How are you not getting it?
What is less than cents? Literally 1 cent is like nothing.
Okay, so I'll put it in my currency terms because I actually know the conversion rate because I check it fairly often. So 167 Jamaican dollars is $1 US. So if I had 1 Jamaican dollar, it's less than a penny. That's what I'm saying, Matt. So
why would you
I
make that
drafted
example?
the Jamaican dollar of
Why is
quarterbacks.
that your example?
167 could not make $1 in U.S. currency. And that's what we play fantasy in. The United States of America. And I don't even have a penny's worth of quarterbacks. That was the point I was making, Matt. But since you want to go into the specifics of the Spanish language...
You just said
we
pesos.
will.
That just means dollars
You know
in Spanish.
Rupees. We can do rupees too. That's India.
That
Theirs is worse.
That word's too funny.
Yen. We could go yen. Theirs is bad too.
Yen is...
That's
now,
Chinese
yen would have made
money.
more sense.
But there's more than one yen. And you don't know that. Because you're not from that area. There's multiple Asian countries that use yen.
But you could do
But we're making the same point!
This isn't the same point because yen is used in China. That's one country. Mexico, Colombia, Argentina,
yen
Costa Rica, Brazil. All these places are using pesos.
Yen is used in more than just China, but you don't know that.
I don't know that, but it doesn't mean. Why would you make that an example? It's like saying dollars. Pesos is literally the word for pesos is dollars.
Matt, I know you're bilingual. We've established this, but the name for the money is pesos.
Yeah.
And yes, I get it is dollar in Spanish. I get that.
And the currency rates are different.
But guess what?
In all the countries. So you don't know which ones are accurate and which aren't accurate.
They're all lower than...
Probably, but you don't know that for sure.
I am almost 100% sure. That's why I use the word peso, Matt. Not to be racist. Which I feel is like what you're trying to pull in the middle of the podcast.
I didn't say it was racist.
It's just Spanish dollars.
I didn't say
why
it was
are you
racist.
saying Spanish
I didn't
dollars?
say it was racist. I'm just saying that's a terrible example.
It is not.
It's a terrible example.
You broke it down to its point that it is the Spanish word for dollar and didn't see the rest of it.
You could have just said cents.
I switched the example. It's the Jamaican
What is
dollar.
the lowest value that you
dollar.
can have in America? 1 cent.
Yeah, but I have lower than that. That was my point. I do. My quarterbacks are so bad that I have lower than that. I have lower than a penny.
Then say you have no money.
I had my analogy, and then we went on a 10-minute about
because
how...
if I can't understand, who knows? They're gonna.
I'm just gonna say Jamaican dollar. They did.
Now they do because you went into detail about it.
I didn't have to.
But no, I didn't understand. Because you say the word peso, I know what peso means. Some countries, 1 peso isn't that far off from $1. So
it's pretty far up.
You don't know that?
Okay.
I could pull up
off camera, or we can do it on camera.
No, we'll pull it up afterwards.
Off camera, I could almost guarantee.
And you may be right, but the thing is you don't know. You're just throwing that word out there like it's nothing. I remember when I was in Colombia, I remember having 50 pesos, and I was able to buy. I think I was able to buy something with that. So clearly, it ain't that bad.
Man, now you're going into like country economics. Because, in Jamaica, I have $50. I could technically buy a meal with 50 Jamaican dollars. But let me take that 50 Jamaican dollars here, and I can't do crap with it. That's the point I'm making.
Why would you make that example, though? Why is that your example?
That's where my mind went. You see, Matt, some of us were born in other countries and had to do conversion rates very, 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 very often.
Good for you.
Or they were sending money to different countries for 8 years, Matt. And that's where my mind went.
Good for you.
So that's why I thought that way.
At least you're talking to somebody that has been in another country and has spent pesos. You use the word pesos as an example, and you're talking to somebody that has physically used pesos in an actual situation in real world events.
Have you used pesos in America?
No.
That's the point.
But I use it over there.
Would you attempt to do that?
When you say, oh, I have pesos on my quarterbacks, you're not saying pesos compared to with American money. You're talking about if I was using pesos. Why would you make that?
Why would they assume I was making?
Why didn't you just say cents?
Why would I? Why would I make that reference?
Why you just say
in America talking about American football?
Why didn't you just say a penny?
Matt, we're not even gonna get into this, bro. Because you just took it so literally.
Because I'm a literal person. I've been taking that's a literal.
I know that now. So next time
you should have been on that.
Next time I won't do that because this took a turn.
I'm not tripping
that I didn't expect. You are a little bit, but it's cool.
You said I got the pesos on this quarterback. It's almost like if I had a peso, I could still use value on that if I went to another country.
Look how far you're going with it. We're in America. I was just talking about trying to use that money in America. It's worth less than American dollars. I didn't have to. Why would we be in Colombia?
Why would we have pesos? Why would we have pesos?
Oh my god.
Why would we have pesos?
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, if I pulled out my SSC machine, I can find a peso. But other than that, where are you finding pesos?
Point being, I have less than a penny worth of quarterback after preaching currency is quarterback. Right? I took 4. Actually, I took 5 now that I'm thinking about it. They all suck. They all are trash, and none of them helped me win. Literally, I rode my way to the playoffs on the back of all the receivers and my tight end. Not even the one I traded for, which I got razzed for. Which that's my third point. Trust yourself in trades. If you feel like you know football and you know values, don't listen to what everybody else has to say. Because everybody's upset when they don't get the player they want, or they wanted to make a deal for the player you get in a trade, and now it just looks so crazy, right? But I have a friend to the left of me that was upset for 2 weeks that he made a trade. Oh, I shouldn't have. Oh, that trade wasn't worth it. Look, don't even mention that man's name to me.
Whoa. And I said this multiple times. I never said it wasn't a fair trade. I always said I got more value off of it. I always said I had more value off the trade.
I'm referencing the first 2 weeks.
The whole time. Even when I made the trade. I just said I didn't like the fact that everybody was dogging me.
And that's my point.
Everybody was dogging me.
Where are those people now? You know what I'm being offered for Mark Andrews? I've told you some of the ridiculous
Just having this conversation with you, I almost makes me want to go in the comments and KickNPost and be like, where are y'all not now? Y'all give me shit right now about this trade. I have a top 10.
Stevenson is a top 5 running back right now for the year before he got hurt. Yes, don't look at me like that. He was at like number
top
3.
10. I'll give top 10.
He was at like number 3 at one point. Right? Don't trip. Now he's hurt, so it sucks. But before that, he acquired.
He might miss this game, but he's not like hurt. He might miss a game. But that's about it.
So. But you got that, right?
First round pick.
Darnell Mooney was balling before he got hurt. Then he got hurt because the Chicago Bears offense went through the roof after they realized they could run their running quarterback. Crazy, right? First round pick, which now is middling. You were like, oh, it's going to be in the back end. No, I'm 6th in the league. So
I already gave up my first round pick.
But that's not the point. It's what you got, right? So you would have had the 1-6 in the rookie draft on top of a top 10 running back for this year. Probably not dynasty running back, but for this year, he was top 10 and scored for you like that. Darnell Mooney, and Dawson Knox, which again, very volatile, but you get somebody to plug into the position. You got all of that for Mark Andrews and Thielen, which I haven't even been able to start him most weeks.
He's startable, though.
And I wanted Brandon Cooks, and that would have been worse for me.
I should have sent on Brandon.
Yeah, you were hell-bent on not giving it me.
No, because you still got to think about next year, because Thielen's going to be like 33 next year, and Cooks is going to be 30.
Thielen's 33 is a lot different than most guys' 33. He never really won on athleticism like that. So
True.
I'm okay with Thielen 33 over most guys' 33. As long as he doesn't have to be the wide receiver 1, which, newsflash, he probably won't ever have to ever again if he stays in Minnesota.
He won't.
Maybe not even the wide receiver 2. They might go out and get somebody.
I was gonna say, honestly, I think they should. Well, they got T.J. Hockenson, but I don't know what pick they have in the draft. They have other needs on defense, but if they went like a wide receiver 2 to get behind Justin Jefferson,
yeah. And then you still have Thielen be your wide receiver 3. He'll play like that Cole Beasley role like last year, or like one of them, just the older guy in the locker room that still runs his routes really crisp and gets open against the team's probably worst DB. He can play that role very well.
Now, if I was Minnesota, I wouldn't do that just because I think they have other needs. But
I mean, we don't have to take him in the first round. Like,
you could take
Amon-Ra St. Brown was like a 5th round actual
like
NFL pick.
Round receiver,
you could wait a while because people miss. That's the next big thing. That's a whole different conversation. Well, people miss on NFL draft prospects because of, honestly, the combine, the 40 times. Amon-Ra slipped so far because he ran a slow 40. I don't give a crap about the 40 now. That boy runs nice routes and he gets open. And he catches the ball. Right? So, people miss on wide receivers.
Yeah.
So, they can find their gem in, the 5th round, the 4th round, the 6th round of the actual NFL draft. It's just about the talent that they're looking for. Right? You'd have to go the elite first round, draft grade type of guy. But,
it's true.
Trust yourself in trades. That's my third one. I've made trades that I'm very proud of this year. I've made some trades I'm not very proud of this year. One being Ramondre Stevenson straight up for Cortland Sutton. I would never do that thing again in my life. But at the time, I trusted myself. Would I make it again in that moment? Probably. That's what I felt like I needed. But trust yourself. Don't have other people, influence how you feel about a trade post when you had your thinking going into it. As long as you're thinking about it in some kind of form or fashion and not just clicking buttons, trust yourself a little bit more.
And I'll agree with that because I am one to be to fold with other people bashing me because I've been in a few debatable trades in Kick and Post, and people are not afraid to give their opinion. Otto is not afraid to give his opinion in that league, so it does make me kind of go when I see everybody kind of knocking, especially since it's my second year. And that's probably the biggest reason why I feel that way is because this is even my second year. I said this is my first year. It's my first year. Last year I didn't really do any trades because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. This year I still barely knew what I was doing. This is the first time I even dove into trades, and I feel like I've made some good trades. I think the Mark Andrews one is still a little rough. The only reason why I say it's rough is because it's hard to get a tight end, and I don't know if I'm ever really going to have an answer at the tight end position, which sucks. But I got other pieces. I know I got the better value side. I know I got plenty in return, so that's not the question. And I've made some trades that have been kind of questionable. I think the one that really sticks out with me was the first trade I did in that league. That was getting Kenneth Gainwell, and I giving up a second rounder for it because I wanted the backup of Miles Sanders. Which I mean, looking back, the reason why I did it is because Miles Sanders was injury prone. Kenneth Gainwell was his backup,
and played well,
and he has played well when he's had his chances. So. There's reasoning why I did it, but I do think the second round pick was a little too much for me to give up, and that's something if I could go back, I would change because clearly it doesn't seem like Kenneth Gainwell is. I mean, he scores very little when it comes to fantasy football. So, yeah, you're right though. Believe in yourself. Every single trade I've done, I put a lot of thought into. I have reasonings for it. For example, people think I've overspent on George Pickens. Maybe I did a little bit, but in my opinion, just by watching him and seeing how he plays, he's on my favorite team. He has great hands, and he has that dog in him. And I believe in that dog. And I told you before this year, I'm okay with failing with Jalen Hurts on my team. George Pickens is that same guy for me. I'm okay with failing with George Pickens on my team. So
the one thing I say with that, especially that first trade, is you weren't completely aware of what the picks meant at the time.
Yeah,
because you don't keep track of prospects like that. And after going through a rookie draft and seeing how those players fall, and then seeing how those players pan out in the actual next year of football, you start getting a scale of how much you want to spend your picks and how much you want to hold your picks. But yeah, you have to kind of know the prospects before that becomes like a big thing for you. But yeah, I think that's solid, right? Trust yourself, invest in tight ends early, or invest in the tight end you believe in at a good rate. But if you're getting the elite ones, you have to get them early. Elite wide receivers. Running back, we didn't really say much about running back. It's still up in the air for me, to be honest with you.
It is because there's been some hits. Yeah. There's been some hits that you expect, like the Austin Eckler's, the
CMC's, Barkley back. Dalvin's been middling. He's had a boom game here or there, but he's been middling.
JT's been kind of okay.
Kamara's been middling too. So, of course, these are the older, and outside of JT, these are the older end of those running backs as well. So that's something to look at. But I feel like you still have to take that as it goes.
Yeah. And my stance on that is going to be the same thing. Is it's hard to kind of grasp the idea, but there are some hits there, and I mean nobody expected JT to go down. It's just a situation that. It is what it is. Yeah. I think the point that's really important is making sure you get some of these hits later in the draft. Getting these guys like the Josh Jacobs that nobody now he's falling, but he's the RB1. Getting these situations where Jamal Williams, I know that's tough. I know not people are taking him, but he is a backup to a running back that does get hurt quite frequently.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff is where I think is really important, and that's exactly what's happened this year. Swift can't stay healthy. Jamal Williams is in, and now he's a touchdown machine.
He falls forward for a yard more beautifully than anybody else does. That man has 10 1-yard rushes for touchdowns. Must be nice. Must be nice to have somebody go out on the 1-yard line that often. But
no, it's not nice. What are you talking about?
I mean,
not nice when you're
Jamal Williams.
Not if you're a Swift owner.
Or an Amon-Ra St. Brown owner too. He's had some bad luck in that regard. Or any of the wide receivers on Detroit. I think they've had the last time I saw the stat, they've had at least 11 plays end on the 1-yard line, and then
the 1-yard line. I mean, I feel like you gotta get rid of the running back.
I know, but I'm just saying don't go drafting Jamal Williams round 7 next year because
no, that's not what I'm saying.
I know. I'm just saying people fall into that trap of he scored a lot of touchdowns last year. That's repeatable. Not always. Yeah, he was still
not easy.
Yeah, those aren't easy to predict. I think that's a good stopping point, though. We'll keep this one fantasy based. Jags won last year. Jags won last week. Trevor balled. Shots out Evan Ingram. Trevor's been looking decent the last 4 weeks. Obviously, got beat up by the Lions, but no turnovers in the last 4 weeks. Keep that shit up, Trevor. Hopefully, continues this week. Would like to see him play well again. And hopefully, the offense looks good going into the offseason because we still have a chance to make the playoffs, funny enough. If we kind of win out, and Tennessee kind of loses out, which their offensive line is banged up, their defense is the worst in the league, I think. We could see them in week 18 for a playoff spot in the AFC South.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, which I wouldn't be against. And your boys, they're going through their stuff.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett's hurt. Mitchell Trubisky's playing.
It's time to wrap up the year. For the boys.
I'm kind of over the year with my Steelers this year. Happy with where we're at. We have a top 10 pick. Go get our offensive lineman. Yeah. You know, I do want to see Kenny Pickett go out there again, get some more experience, get some more time with those players. I'm still starting George Pickens in my dynasty playoff run, so I do still need George Pickens to do pretty well. So yeah, it's whatever. I mean, happy to see that. This is the first year, you know, no winning record. So it's definitely
weird.
It's a weird feeling, and you know, I'm seeing a lot of Mike Tomlin hate, seeing a lot of type of different hate, and I'm not going to be on
the division's been tougher than it's ever been, I think, and that's no exaggeration.
We're the only team as well in the division that doesn't have a O-line or really a quarterback yet. You know what I mean? We'll see with Kenny next year, but I've liked what I've seen so far, but I'm also, and I've said this before, I'm not sold either.
Yeah.
I think he has a lot of progress to make. He's done a lot of the right things, says the right things. He's not afraid to sling it. Happy to see that, but and why is Matt Canada still here?
Yeah, that'll be something we have to address in the coming weeks too, as the season closes out. What's the biggest moves we think our teams need to make going into the offseason? We'll wait till week 18 when the season's out.
Well, I'll have the same answer then. As
I know, but I'm just saying we'll officially wait till the season's out. We have the ending record. We have where our draft spot will be, and then we can go from there because we both know we'll be in the draft up there. Even if the Jags make the playoffs, it's going to be with like a 8-9 record or something like that. So we'll still be kind of middling to top end of the draft anyway. But this has been episode 13, Teal and Steel. Pretty much fantasy edition. Big fantasy episode.
Pretty much. And honestly, probably for these next couple weeks.
Yeah.
It will be probably fantasy forward just because this is the playoffs.
We have nothing else to talk about. Our teams are bad. Yeah. Even if my team makes the playoffs, which...
It's like how I'm in KickNPost I know.
Yeah.
I made the playoffs.
My gosh. Nah, your team has a chance. You got Miles Sanders running on fools over there. Every time Miles Sanders pops up with a touchdown on my sleeper, because of course I have a team with Miles Sanders on it still. Love my boy. Couldn't get rid of him in every league. I do play in 19, so that probably accumulates that. But yeah, I just kept seeing rushing touchdown, 30-yard rushing touchdown.
He's already
15-yard rushing touchdown,
11 or 12 touchdowns this year,
and over 1,000 yards. First Philly rusher to do that since like 2014. And then AJ Brown's the first Philly receiver to have like 1,000 yards since 2014. Hey man.
Oh, before we cut out, what are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts MVP?
It's looking good.
Because I've been seeing a lot of people pissing me off. Like that's I'm seeing a lot of things. They're saying things like, it's the system. It's all this. Jalen Hurts is the system.
It's not the system. It's not the system.
Don't get me wrong, the system, but it opens up because Jalen Hurts.
I mean, he could be an irresponsible quarterback in that system and still throw interceptions and make bad plays and not have good leadership, right? If he was stationary and played like Zach Wilson in terms of decision making, he would not be in the playoff. He would not be in the MVP race. He'd probably be in the playoff race still, because like the Jets, you could overcome bad quarterback play depending on the talent on your team, but they wouldn't be 12-1. Ain't no way.
Jalen Hurts opens up a lot, and he's been very safe with the ball. So,
is there a conversation for Patrick Mahomes with MVP? Yes.
Yeah, there's a conversation.
This man might end up with 5,800 passing yards. Like his pace is insane.
Yeah.
So, yes, there is an argument to be made for him, but I think it's Jalen Hurts here. If by some act of God, Patrick Mahomes throws for 6,000 yards. You got to give it to Patrick Mahomes.
Jalen Hurts, baby.
6,000 yards?
Jalen Hurts.
If he throws for 6,000 yards, Matt.
Patrick Mahomes already has MVP.
No. If he throws for 6,000 yards, Matt, you can't not give him MVP.
Probably.
The first to throw for 6,000 yards, you have to give it to him at that point. He's already on pace to break the record. if he throws for 6,000. Like he has a shootout and he goes for 450.
If he does, I mean, cool. It's fine. Give it to him. I just love the idea. If there's an underdog that got.
I would love to see Jalen Hurts toting that MVP after all he's been through in his career.
Yeah, there's been so much that happened to him. Patrick Mahomes has already got him. He's already got his own. He's already got a Super Bowl. I don't know. I love the idea of Jalen Hurts.
A better story? But Patrick Mahomes breaks the record, sneaks the MVP away from Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts sees him in the Super Bowl, gets Super Bowl MVP and wins a chip.
At the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Yeah, he could be one of the guys to prevent one of the future GOATs, as some are proclaiming Patrick Mahomes to be, prevent him from getting one of those rings. You know, because Eli Manning. His name is probably his name is probably Elijah. If you think about it, what's Eli short for? Usually Elijah, no?
Eloquist.
Is it Eloquist Manning? Probably. So Eloquist Manning, right? One of his biggest calls to the Hall of Fame is that he stopped Brady from getting 2. If you think about it,
that's true.
Like he's had some bad years, he's had some good years, but it's the 2 Super Bowls that he took from Brady that's usually the biggest thing attached to his name. So if Jalen Hurts sneaks in there and takes one away from Mahomes, possibly, it will be something to write about.
It would be nice, and the good news is Jalen Hurts and the Eagles will be there. So,
man, you can make these Dallas people hate me because I already don't talk about them enough. Teal and Steel, episode 13, second closeout of the episode, up to 423 subscribers.
Nice,
a little four boost since the last one. I'm kind of losing track, even though it's like incremental growth. But still, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one. Good luck in your first week of the fantasy playoffs. If you've had CMC and George Kittle, shouts out to y'all. I have them in 2 of my ones. And if you played Brandon Ayuk, you're sad like me. All right, catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
Bye.